And I know you got to talk about Highdra earlier. That's a guy that's just good at games, seemingly. NightPhoenix, for those that don't know, he's a pretty damn decent Ukrainian player in StarCraft 2. Plays Protoss, probably around like 6.2k MMR on the ladder. But he's been very open about, hey, I'm going to be focused on Stormgate a lot. And I'm excited to see what he can bring, because a lot of these players, like, this is absolutely a new platform to shine on. And undoubtedly put in countless hours in StarCraft 2, a very, very highly competitive field. But getting your chance to really shine and try and make a name for yourself right from the get-go, it's a wonderful thing to have the opportunity to do.
All right, into the next match, we've got Highdra in the top right, NightPhoenix in the bottom left here. And of course, Highdra hailing from the Netherlands, NightPhoenix from Ukraine, and is going to be going for the double low ground wall off. I said that previous match was our first Infernal versus Infernal, but actually that was actually, I guess I should have mentioned in the series, Krolu did play Infernal in the qualifier, by the way, but swapped to Vanguard, which was interesting. But in this match now, we've got two players who I'm pretty sure have been sticking with Infernal the whole time, and they are going to be battling it out in the mirror matchup. Now, going out there with an imp to grab the resource pickup. Interesting. What are we doing here, NightPhoenix? Breaking the trees already on the left side. So I guess he's decided, I just want a sneaky creep path up here. Actually, whoa. Is he going to tower rush? Or is he opening a backdoor harassment path, perhaps? Interesting strategy, whatever NightPhoenix is up to.
It really is. It looks like he's just getting himself a path to be able to get over here later on. Very quick fiend out for Highdra. Did he just get a brute and then just split it up, and now he's going to be able to get on the map himself? But he's getting a lot of these resource situations. That must be a Shroud Stone, right?
It don't look like it. Maybe it's a meat farm, and he's
meat
like,
farm.
well...
Ooh.
Okay, so he's basically saying, I'll use a meat farm to creep the resource cap. And I also wanted to open the trees and get the 2 resource pickups. I don't know if that's more efficient directly, like just the resource pickups, than just mining. I feel like just mining would get you more resources because it took so long to run there. But getting the resource camp as well and helping you take that down, and then, you infest it and you get that kind of fiend explosion going. You can see how this sets up the creep path very nicely. It's also a very sneaky creep path. So if Highdra tries to, go up there and ambush them, it's going to not work so well. Now, interestingly, a bit of a cancel on what I think was a meat farm back at home being used to save one of the imps that I think got harassed by the fiend. So, yeah, good play by NightPhoenix. Whenever you're about to lose an imp, just start building a building if you can. And then when the harassment unit's gone, you can cancel it. Imp pops back out, nice and safe.
Oh, I mean, this is very close to the production of Highdra, so NightPhoenix does have to be careful. And I mean, your meat farm being right there, like, that is one way to just provide your opponent with fiends, right? If he just kind of keeps on killing those little hounds that pop out.
Imp moving down now, so it looks like fast expands, coming out for NightPhoenix. Highdra looks like he's about to go for it, but he's actually going to go Shroudstone first, so very careful. Highdra being perhaps a little bit more paranoid, or safer, you could say, than NightPhoenix. And those fiends do get taken out. Thank Lord the days of fiends spawning extra fiends is gone. The infest on the fiend armies used to be one of the funniest things. I don't know. Yeah, you didn't catch any of that meta, did you?
No, not at all. I mean, I played back in the very early days where the dogs started off with a slow. So I played like way back then before Infernals were even on the radar.
My first 5 games were against, like a few of them were against parting on that meta. Dude, those dogs just killed everything. They were so overpowered. I remember I was just sitting there crying. I was like, this game's stupid. I don't like playing parting. But honestly, it's interesting because that meta, the infest ability where it's the big orange circle and you have time to dodge it now, it was like instant before. So you just throw your global ability, infest their entire army. And when it dies, like 50 fiends spawn, but then they'd infest all your fiends. So then they'd turn into like 50 fiends, and it was just like this back and forth where you're like, oh, I have 1 billion units and you have none, but then you lose them and they all turn into the enemy units. It was so obscenely ridiculous, and I kind of miss the stupidity of it.
I know what you're saying. I mean, Piggy, there was one time that StarCraft 2 games used to last for like 3 hours with broodlings spawning broodlings and all that jazz. We've been there. But now NightPhoenix, he's very quick to expanding here, and Highdra does spot it. He's got a very quick Doombringer of himself, so he can start to get across the map and maybe get some shenanigans done.
remember we were talking yesterday about how good Gaunt drops are because meat farms just basically give them fiend fodder. They just kill the hogs so quickly. That's why he's hid the meat farm off in the corner and why he's taking shrines for supply instead. He's like, this way I don't have any pigs in my base that you can turn into the fell hogs. 300 IQ preparation from NightPhoenix, which gives no easy attack angle. I mean, he can still get in the main and chase the imps, and they're not as tough as Bob's with Overcharge, but not nearly as effective as it would be. Not as explosive. Clever play out of NightPhoenix. Unfortunately, oh, he's still going to lose a few imps.
Quite a few indeed. I mean, the amount of damage that they deal, it's a lot higher than versus the Bobs, right? Because they don't have that overcharge ability. And now Gaunt versus Gaunt action. Brute being brutal as well. Getting lots of damage done. Lots of micro going on with these Doombringers as well. And Highdra definitely took quite a victory here. Just removing all those imps from that main base.
That was big. Yeah, just a bit slow on the pull. And not having like the overcharge to react with is so painful in this matchup. NightPhoenix chasing. He's like, stop moving, let me get on top of you. I love that. I only just realized there's a big eyeball on the front of the Doombringer, by the way. I hadn't noticed that till now.
I still didn't notice. I'm looking at this. It looks like a big worm thing hanging down. Like I have no idea.
It's on the other side of it. That's why as soon as I said it, they both turned north, so you can't see. It's only when they're facing south you'll see it.
But now it's kind of a case of like, all right, you've harassed me with that. Do I have to stay back at home? Because I'd love to harass you back too. And I mean, Highdra was slower with his third base, but I think he more than equalized with what he got done there.
There we go. Oh, see the eyeball when it lands. There you go. I was like, I mentioned this, and then it's like 3 minutes of they're all facing in the wrong direction. Finally, vindicated. But level 2 speed camp is going to be a nice creep there. And I think stealing your opponent's creeps, really nice way to do it. Oh, catching a couple gaunts could be nice. And I think the Infest might finish those off. They're so close. There we go. They do go down. Third base for Hydra's in trouble right now. And if you pull down to defend it, well, he's going to hop into your main. And the imps are, of course, the real target. Uh-oh.
He didn't even get to kill that creep camp either. Like, all those units are left with very little health, but that makes me think that his units are quite battered and bruised behind all this as well.
Either that or this drop has scared him so much because he knows he doesn't have enough to defend the third and the high ground. So he's like, oh, maybe I just need to pull this home. But yeah, it looks like there's not that many units left inside. I think you're right there, Ben. Oh, Magmadon drop. Magmadon drop. Watch out.
Oh, and using the super tower as well. Might be getting that Doombringer sometime very soon. I mean, he has to be careful. His own Doombringer does get sniped by these gaunts. And that meat farm is here as well. And that is so many imps for the taking. But I'll tell you what, nice reactions out of Highdra. He is here with a big army despite losing his Doombringer. So he does get himself out of trouble.
NightPhoenix is all over it though, man. He's looking fantastic. He's got like good army, good macro at home. And he's just done such a great job with these drops and these, you know, the first drop did hurt him a lot, admittedly. But I think this follow-up counter drop he's done, it's just been so effective. And remember those meat farms. If you do a fiend drop down here on the expansion, you get 6 fiends almost instantly from those fell hogs. And even here, just dropping in the main, oof, being very dangerous, keeping Highdra pinned and allowing him to be quite greedy. Did NightPhoenix take a shrine on the Ethereum in his in between his natural and his third, by the way? Oh, man, this drop just won't stop.
Yeah, he has to be so careful. He does take a shrine there on that Ethereum, so absolutely committing a lot to getting a lot of Ethereum out. And you see that Highdra in his main base, he has a lot of imps getting Ethereum as well, so very much Ethereum matchup. Drop going on from Highdra in the base of NightPhoenix, and this is a scary one, man. Stompy boy coming in with the gaunts. Could be scary.
Stompy and Fest combo is brutal. Those imps need to get out of here, man. Oh, Magmadon having a party, dude. It is like letting a stampeding rhinoceros into a child's playground. It is not good for those imps. NightPhoenix micros most of them to safety. Does take out the Magmadon and so on. So maybe an overcommitment there for Highdra.
That's such a big army from NightPhoenix now. Like, if we had supply numbers, I dare say he's just got twice the numbers on the map. But yeah, the Magmadon kind of reminds me a bit of Rotterdam when he arrives to the party a bit late, you know? He's been at a casino, had a few guests to the party, just trampling all over the shop, knocking over everything in sight.
You know what? It feels that way, dude. When you get enough Magmadons, you're just running into the bar saying, I can buy this whole town, let's go! It's been a good night, boys. And that's how NightPhoenix is feeling right now.
It definitely is. All right, nice drop going. I mean, NightPhoenix, even though he's taken damage, he still looks like he's got this game by the horns, doesn't he? He's just all about dealing damage. Yes, he's taken little bits of damage here and there, but very much slowing down his opponent nicely. And the Gaunt drops, like, he's very much focused on those Gaunt drops, just like Parding was. And I wonder if Parding's Infernal versus Infernal will look similar to this.
Yeah, I think it's such a good move. It's kind of almost guaranteed. Obviously, Shadow Flyers catching them could be effective. Something we might see at some point in the meta, people squeezing that in just to shut it down because it is so frustrating to deal with. But at the moment, people are like, yeah, you don't really want the Shadow Flyers for anything but that. So do you really want to bother opening up that tech tree? Most players have decided, no, it's not worth it. Just have a better army for fighting. And that drop scouting on the right side here for NightPhoenix. While his army goes in on the left, is he looking for a flank, it looks like? Oh my. Big Infest gets kind of partially hitting on the Gaunts. Hydra's Gaunts are looking so exposed. His army's tiny. He is so outnumbered right now. This is so scary.
And the Rotidons march on in, trampling all over the shop. They've definitely had a few. Gaunts also focusing down Gaunts, spreading Fiends like crazy. Hydra's own Rotidons coming in here from the other side, and I tell you what, Hydra's taken about the best fight he possibly could, but does NightPhoenix have too much?
Oh man, NightPhoenix had so many numbers. I feel like Hydra's microing very well though. Like he pulled some imps away, he got the Gaunts to trade as well as they could. And the meat farms have just been buying a lot of time with those Fellhog spawns. Surprisingly, Hydra's third Luminite line is intact, which I did not expect at the end of that fight. I thought he was going to straight up lose the game. And you can see they're doing a double Magmadon drop into the back line. Very cute move by Highdra, now that there's very little anti-air left for NightPhoenix. But you know what? Magmadon stampeding Magmadons and Brutes, the tanky units, nowhere near as effective as Magmadons getting on top of those fragile Gaunts.
Man, Rotti is having a field day over here in the middle of all these juicy Gaunts, and Hydra's doing whatever he can to try and stay alive here, but he's just staying alive. NightPhoenix on 4 bases behind this, and so much damage being done, so much meat and raw power in this army. It's a truly primal army that he's rocking with, and these Gaunts, he's trying to micro them, keeping them alive, but just more blue turning up.
Indeed. There we go. The GG comes out there. And NightPhoenix taking game 1 against Highdra, looking pretty slick. It's interesting. I love that meat farm out of the main base, really well prepared for the later stages and creeping on a clever pattern and microing out those fights really well as well. His drops were absolutely devious.
They really were, and both of them were using those drops to great effect, trying to deal damage with whatever they could. NightPhoenix did it with pure Gaunts, whereas Highdra did it with like a Magmadon or Roddy, and a few Gaunts, just trying to get that combo going, getting the Infest rolling, the Trample going, lots of AoE damage. Oh, for a second there. Oh, the map. What is it going to be? Is it going to be... Can you imagine I haven't seen a Jagged Maw Infernal Mirror yet.
Feel like it'd be a lot of fun, mate. Fiends running around, things getting infested, catapults fighting catapults. It'd be cool as well, because I think the map is fun. It just seems to be very Infernal favored. So, hey, Infernal versus Infernal, no more favoring would be cool. Hopefully, we get that in game 3, because, of course, it is Broken Crown map 2. And, you know, a little bit sad if we get the 2-0 for NightPhoenix. Hopefully, we do get a game 3. And, yeah, I mean, I personally am just still absolutely bemused that you've named the kind of stampede rhinoceros type Kodo-looking unit as Roddy. I'm sure he's going to love this, Ben.
I think he's going to love it. People are going to start calling him Magmadon.
Magmadon Brain? People already call him Elephant Brain, right? Now it's going to be Magmadon Brain?
Yeah. I'm so looking forward to this. He's going to be like, what are you guys on about? And then he finds out that he looks like this big hammerhead shark trampling around. He's like, who the hell called me this? And he's like, it was Ben, wasn't it? And it's like, hell yeah. Frickin' Rodidons. I love it.
My man, the Rodidon strategy, very powerful. I mean, I love it, dude. Gaunt's so good in this game, but if you get Rodidons in there, Rodidons in the imp line, I'm already preparing the casting. The Rodidon flank. He's going to go for the Stompy as well. We're going to use only professional, correct, lore-accurate words for all the unit names, guys. You know, actually, I do think that's fun. Every game should have a few units that just end up with names that are not what the designers gave it at all. Many examples, of course, over the years, especially strategy names, especially fun. Thinking of AoE 2 and Persian douches and all sorts of different things like that. But hopefully we get a few of those as some nasty cheeses start to come out. For now, 4-minute Gaunt Drop doesn't quite have the same ring to it some cheesy builds have had over the many years of RTS history.
I mean, the Korean taxi, you know, like the Korean subway. Definitely, there's some things that they could absolutely use for that. Highdra here, very quick with getting a little imp here out on the field, just chopping through the wood lines and what have you. But yeah, this is... Oh, is that a meat farm? He's hiding a meat farm over there. Or what is it this time, Piggy?
Oh me, oh my. It looks like it's an iron vault. So just going to break through the trees and try to get that on the other side. I mean, it's just a bit closer to the potential third base, as well as rallying down the right side to the speed camp. So, yeah, interesting to see. I mean, just it creates, like, I guess, a little bit of a semi-wall in front of that choke point, but planning to go down the right. I mean, this has become very common. The speed camps used to have 5 goats in them. They got nerfed to only 3 goats, so it's nowhere as powerful as it used to be, but they're still, you know, a good, accessible, effective camp. Getting 3 fiends early on boosts your damage, and then if your opponent doesn't contest, you can use that to go and steal all those resource camps around the map. So it is something I expect NightPhoenix on his... Oh, sorry, there we go. Color switch. Highdra in the bottom, NightPhoenix in the top, it turns out. I expect Highdra in the bottom to do something similar with, like, maybe breaking the trees and going out to the left speed camp. Yeah,
NightPhoenix definitely been exploring a bit, hasn't he, with how he does things. And 2 fiends, they do arrive just when there's 1 gaunt. They both have to be quite careful here. But Big Boy Brute comes along, gets some fiends out, but does not get to keep that gaunt alive. Is that worth it for Highdra in this kind of situation?
Yeah, I don't know. It's always kind of interesting to see. I mean, as long as you deny them from taking the camp so far, that can be pretty useful. I'm not sure exactly on the math in Infernal versus Infernal. Definitely my less knowledgeable point in the game right now. These gaunts getting some fiends, getting some great damage. Oh man, he's gonna cancel it. That's huge.
Really,
he doesn't get on the imp. He should have gone for the imp though.
I mean, a little bit of fiend wars going on here, both incredibly quick. This just reminds me of Zerglings versus Zerglings. Oh, I mean, I tell you what, does get to kill one. That will help him out a lot, but NightPhoenix is not slowing down when it comes to his side of the map and doing things. He's out on the map, creeping. I'm not sure how quick his expansion is compared to his opponent, but it must have cost something because he's just getting out more units a little bit quicker than his opponent.
His expansion's just started, actually, but I think the creeping advantage is good. Good snipe for Highdra, takes out the Brute. Well done. Of course, for those who don't know, if you manually split the Brute before it dies, you do start with the white armor at full. Whereas if it dies like that, it'll still split to 2 fiends, but they don't have any white armor. So nice little snipe for Highdra, taking that guy down, disrupting him. But NightPhoenix, even though he's got a slower expansion, I mean, he's running over these resource camps, and just with a single gaunt for Infest is like, hey, gonna keep getting more fiends. You see the creep spiral that an unmolested Infernal player gets to do, where they really get out of control fast.
Yeah, I mean, he's spawning so many fiends with this as well, right? Like, every time he kills units, as long as he's got gaunts with him and he's infesting them, he gets another fiend. And then you just creep in even faster and faster. So I like what NightPhoenix is doing here. It's just very solid by him. And the trade-off, like, your opponent has a faster expansion, that's cool, but when you're taking the map, you're really kind of eyeing it out a little bit, I feel. And he's forced his opponent to make quite a few of these Shroud Stones as well back at home.
Yeah, because he's kind of afraid of that momentum now. You're like, oh, I don't want these fiends running in or some overwhelming attacking. I mean, Hydra's done a good job of scouting to at least see, okay, you are expanding and stuff. But I love that there's already a third base on the way for NightPhoenix. And the fact that NightPhoenix infrastructure is defending those bases already, it's just a lovely setup. And this is something, like, I know Theory was at the cutting edge of it for a while, and a few of the other guys who've been doing really well in the tournaments, you know, leading up to this, chopping the trees down, taking the triangle third, getting the creeps out. And this is just such a nice start, and you're kind of ready to take this last resource camp, and then you're like, oh, you know what? The first speed camp's probably going to respawn in not that long, and we can go back and do the whole circuit again, picking up those resources. So more of a turtley setup for Highdra. NightPhoenix looking like just a player who's got a bit more of a feel for how to dominate the map in the early game.
Certainly, and NightPhoenix, he does have his own Doombringer, and he's crept most of the map. He's also, given that he was behind on the natural expansion, the first expansion, he has caught up massively, and he's doing like the leapfrog technique, just taking a third base that much faster than his opponent. Goes to this heal camp, has the Shroud growing as well over here, so we'll start adding on quite a bit of extra shield on these units, and I wonder what he's actually going to drop with here.
It was Fiends, I think. So it's just like a kind of like a Zergling drop, right? It's just 8 Fiends or something like that. He actually changes directions, but oh right. Sorry, that was the Highdra Doombringer I was looking at there. I was like, wait, this one's still over here on the right side. So it looks like he's ended up just using him to take the creep. Oh, I think the Doombringer is bugged out. Hey, something's happened with it.
It's definitely dancing. It's definitely okay. It's down on the ground again, but you can see that its health bar keeps flashing here. Definitely a bit brutal here for NightPhoenix.
Oh man, don't load Fiends into Doombringers. Scratches that on the notepad. I haven't seen many people do that. Oh, his mouse is dead. And he's typing a GG there. Okay, I don't know. Is there no pause in Stormgate right now, by the way? I'm not sure if there is.
Well, I'm
Looks
also,
like
also a bit surprised about the... Did it kill his mouse? Like, did his mouse stop moving as opposed to his mouse die in real life kind of thing? Because I definitely think NightPhoenix was in a good spot that game for sure.
Dominating spot. Yeah, normally the thing is you'd grab your units, click them home, try to pause, realize, oh, there's no pause option, and figure some stuff out. So we'll definitely have the admins asking him what's going on and giving us the info once that gets settled out. But you know what, guys? If his mouse is broken, he might not be able to open up Discord and answer us. Just kidding. I'm sure he'll be able to figure it out, unplug it, plug it back in again, reopen the game, whatever. I imagine it sounds like it was a Stormgate issue because we could see the unit appearing to bug out for us observing as well. But early beta things are going to happen like that. It does make me think, though, a little bit of an old quote. Do you remember this one, Ben? Technology is the vehicle of esports.
I do not remember this one.
This was, the famous first years of StarCraft 2. I just remember there being unlimited tech breaks when things just didn't work or the internet, so the servers went down. And it would just be like the production for the tournaments was so amazing. They'd be like, that's fine. Tasteless, stay on camera for the next hour and a half, filling time until we fix the tech issue. And it's just him sitting there on repeat saying the same like canned lines about, well, guys, technology is the vehicle of esports, and sometimes this happens. And I'm like, this is the 40th time I've heard him say this. I'm like, why don't they just cut to an ad break or something? It was always just like a fun thing in the old days. That was, it's always an issue if you're in early days of a game. You don't have resume from replay. You're not going to have the ability to just jump back in. It's a shame we couldn't pause and try to figure it out, but it did look like something broke in the game. So probably going to have to maybe regame, maybe go straight into game 3 if for some reason it's figured out it was NightPhoenix's error, though I doubt that's the case. I'll stop conjecturing on that because I have no idea. We'll wait till the admins actually report back.
Yeah, there's no point putting words in the mouth or giving false ideas, right? Because you never know how the situation is going to pan out. Maybe NightPhoenix just absolutely, like, his mouse is done. It absolutely donezoed, and he's like, no other mouse in the house, or... Hey, it rhymes. Or has to resort back to that old ball mouse. I know you're one of those guys that still uses a wired jobber these days. Stuck in the past, Pig. Stuck in the past.
Still. You know who does? I've got redemption on my side. Clem. The fastest RTS gamer in history still uses a wired mouse. So it's a couple of dinosaurs and one very fast 22-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, I actually spoke with Clem quite a bit. Like, there was a moment. So I'm a peripheral junkie, right? Like, I went into the gamers hall and we're all talking about like peripherals and stuff, and it was so funny. Like, as soon as we went over to Maru and checked what he was using, this nice little light mouse and whatever, and then Clem's like, "Oh yeah, I actually quite like this, but I'm so worried because the clicks need to be like this." Then Hero came along, was like, "Oh, try this," and then like Gumiho came along, was like, "This is best," and everybody was like so into it as well. I felt like I found my people, you know. But yeah, Clem does want to switch. By the way, he does want to switch. He's just a little bit worried about it, you know, a little bit worried about it.
It's that paranoia, man. I always remember playing Dota with my buddy, and we'd be in the middle of like ganking someone and be like, battery swap, and I'd be like, what? And he's like, literally, it was like watching, you know, in action movies, how they reload guns like unrealistically fast. Like Lara Croft just like spins her guns and then like somehow reloads them by just like smacking the guns onto like the magazines that are on her belt. He was like that, but with his mouse. You would see him like throw the battery at the wall flip it upside down, and just like grab a battery, slam it in, turn it back over. He'd already be dead by that point, no matter how fast he got at the battery swap. And he still never learned to keep that battery charged in between and before queuing up a game. So we lost a lot of Dota games because of it. And because of that, I will forever be biased against wireless mice.
Bloody Aussies, they put you off for life, man. Like, to me, when I hear about these wired mouse users, for me, it's very similar to listening to Rotti talk about why he always has 18 workers out of 16 on minerals, or why when he's supply capped, and by that I mean out of 200 supply, whenever he takes an extra base, it's one Nexus, puts down 4 pylons every time, regardless. And it's like, Kevin, please change. And no rapid fire as well, because he's a pure gamer. I'm like, mate, what is going on? This is just making you worse. You are stuck. But yes.
We can change when we're dead, Ben. You can't make us change. You can't bring us into your modern age with your weird wireless jingo jangos and your efficient play that logically makes sense. I need 4 pylons on my Nexus. What if one of them dies? The pylon needs 3 friends. Otherwise, it's going to be lonely. You shut your mouth. I'm on Kev's side on this one. Weird habits that you've been doing for 20 years, just keep doing them. Doesn't matter if they lead to success or not. Just keep being you, Kevin.
Bloody hell. I mean, you and Kevin siding on something. Like, for those that don't know, Kevin and Pig, every frickin' event, they will have the chocolate debate. The great chocolate debate of our time. And I swear,
needs to be had. Let's survey Twitch chat right now, okay? So we can see which side they're on. So side number 1 is, okay, first of all, the setting, because this always complicates things. We're talking about, when we say room temperature, we mean like, a comfortable 23 degrees, like not room temperature on a tropical island where it's 45 degrees Celsius or something, or 120 Fahrenheit. We're talking comfortable room temperature, right? What you set the aircon to. It's that temperature. You've got your chocolate. You've got, whether it's a cheap Snickers or some fancy chocolate, doesn't matter. But we usually have this discussion in the context of Snickers or some Kinder Buenos or something like that, hanging out in our green room. And he will always take a stack of these and he will put them in the fridge next to our drinks until they are bloody freezing cold and you can't taste the chocolate. And I think this is criminal. And I'm like, no, you've got to leave it at room temperature. If it's melting or something, sure, you can put it in the fridge for a bit so it's solid. But you can't taste it if it's in the fridge. So everyone in the chat, please type 1 for fridge. You guys are wrong. And 2, if you're actually a person who likes the taste of chocolate and you leave it out so that it's at a good temperature.
Wow, we got a bunch of criminals over here. Although
there's so many people who just don't have taste buds, man.
it's almost like they're split. It's almost like they're split, man. Like
It's about 50-50, I think. Yeah,
dude. With this one, like chocolate, definitely. And for those that are unaware, if you cool it, it tastes a little bit less. But I do understand having some nice cold chocolate after a warm day can definitely be nice. Just depends what you're down for. But you two are so adamant. Like, I just when I moved to Sweden, there's some freaking weird things that they eat, man. Like cheese on toast, Pig. I'm fine with cheese on toast, but when they add freaking marmalade to the cheese. I was like,
oh, I've seen this.
I was like, what the frick are you guys doing? You're murdering that bloody toast, mate. And they're like, no.
Oh my gosh.
And they think I'm the weird one.
Dude, I mean, this is the country that created Junglevral, right? The salty licorice candy. That's from Sweden, right?
Yeah, they're freaking disgusting, dude.
Absolutely insane, man. I'll never forget finding out about that because I cast a StarCraft game once, and the guy's name was Junglevral, and I was just like tripping over this for an entire cast, and my comment section afterwards was just 50 people explaining to me about this salty licorice snack, and I still haven't tried it. Despite going to Sweden last year, I forgot every time. So I've luckily avoided the salty licorice curse. Apparently, some people in like the Netherlands and like the rest of Scandinavia are into it. It's one of those things. I'm like, I have to try. Instincts tell me it sounds horrible, but who knows? I am ready to be surprised, and I am always down for a scientific taste test. I have had pineapple pizza with licorice on it before, so I will try anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now, guys, we're waiting on hearing what has actually happened with the game. So we had a NightPhoenix have a little bit of a bug, and I believe that we're calling back the host here to maybe fill in some stuff.
Oh, thank God. I got in just before it moved on to canned fermented fish in Scandinavia. I think that was a perfect time. No, don't take
You
it
haven't
there.
voted.
Wait till you get the Iceland
two.
folk and the shark in the
Okay.
ditch. That is the real gross one.
Oh, don't. I don't want to go there, Ben. All right. To answer pigs, it's going to be the cop-out. It's a mid, and there's for good reason. I can't remember the name of the chocolate. It's like Shocker or something like that. There's something you can get in Germany where it's like, it's chocolate on the outside, and then it's some sort of gooey thing on the inside. Those are best from frozen, for sure. Like, you crack them open, and it's almost like you've got more like an ice creamy texture on the inside. So there are some exceptions, but yeah, like, cool. Doesn't need to be frozen, though. I think, yeah, Roy's a bit of an animal.
Yes!
There we go. Sorry, Roy. But... Guys, I think we are getting ready to get back into the series. What we can quickly do, if we let you guys quickly run off and stretch your legs, because I know it's getting a little bit deep in, and I'll definitely cover this segment and just recap the games. Sound good? Go stretch those legs.
Appreciate that, my friend.
Awesome. I want DeMu to do a little few, dumbbell pumps in the background. I know he will. All right. So, quickly, just... I think the game actually is about to, funnily enough, start. So, do we need to bring them literally right back?
I'm still here, actually,
right.
So I can hold us down. I think Ben might have run off just before he realized the game started.
He's too eager. Do you want me to hop in to open this one with you?
Let's do it, KP. Let's go, man.
You know what it is? It's the Pig Eon cast. There you go.
My bladder is bursting, but I'd love to have you intro this game and help us out with the start, mate.
All right. Well, spawning in the south side, it looks like we should have, if I'm not mistaken, the colors, are they right? 100%. Give me the check, vodka. Bit it before. I think NightPhoenix is going to be the red in the top side. I'm going to have Highdra down in this. Okay, Highdra is red. There we go. Confirmation that Highdra is going to be opening us up as the red player here. And that means NightPhoenix is going to be in the blue. But interesting matchup on this map, actually, Pig. Like, when we're looking at this map in particular, there's been a lot of focus on the chop through, and we are noticing both players commit to this. Now, earlier today and previous days, we've seen a few players who maybe have been going a little bit more greedy. But one thing that I think we can note, especially with how Game 2 opened up before this remake, it seemed like going for the camps was winning out over this idea of greedy booming the bases.
Yeah, it seems like in this matchup especially, because the thing is, you're like, well, if you were able to boom and they couldn't attack you, I think it's like, it'd probably be fine. But the problem is then they have 10 fiends with their army, and you're like, well, what if those run in my base right now and I don't have defense? So then you're building shroud stones and you kind of get stuck real totally. So I like that Highdra in the regame. He's actually said, you know what, I don't like how that other game was going. I've been given a second chance. I'm going to change up my opening. And absolutely hats off to him. Fair play. He's doing the same sort of thing. So both sides are creeping those speed caps at the same time. They've both kind of chopped the trees, built the forward production facility, and that's a great way to do it. Now, obviously, NightPhoenix is still half a step ahead because he's NightPhoenix, and he just seems so good with this build.
No, he's so on point with it, right? Like, he's already moving across towards the resource camp location. This can be a big edge, right? If you clear that camp ahead of your opponent, Hydra's going to have to concede the area. Funnily enough, Hydra's not even going for the trade on the resource camps. He's actually heading into where the second should be. But as you saw there, NightPhoenix, he actually snuck a bunch of his buildings through to where you set up the third base past the tree line.
Oh, look at this. Dude, that is a great attack from Highdra, getting a cancel on the shrine right after it starts. Beautiful timing. Of course, NightPhoenix out for vengeance will come in from behind. He's intercepted the rally over to the right side. I was like, where did all the fiends go? I think they caught a gaunt or two that were rallying in behind this for Highdra. Highdra continuing in. Highdra, of course, wishing he had a recall right now, I think, to get out of there. Is he actually going to take out the Iron Vault? No, that seems way too tanky.
Well, this is interesting. Look at where he put the Gaunt. He trapped it against the wall there. So if he held the Brute in the choke point, you can't actually clear the one thing that's going to keep Infect bombing on your hogs as they spawn.
That's huge. Yeah, you got quite a few. Finally, it gets held, but Highdra with a great pressure. And I don't know if he really committed that much to do this. Getting the cancel on the base alone is massive, as I think we've got a Benjamin who's starting to return to us in just a sec.
Howdy, howdy. I am indeed here. You know, obviously I've missed the start of this game. I was stretching my legs. I've got this bad knee. I talked to you about it. Still a bad knee. But already off to a feisty start here. And after talking about Roddy, I just had so many things spring to my mind about the young man, you know?
I love that this is just... Roddy's not even casting this tournament. We're just like, under the bus. Let's go.
I can't help myself. It's like talking to Roddy about food, and you guys talking about like bad food and stuff. My boy Kevin, he will travel all over the globe, and do you know what excites him more than anything when he goes to a new place? It's food, right? He'll be like,
I think I know the answer.
He'll be like, oh my god, they have Subway here, and I'm like, Kevin, what the hell's going on? Like, you're absolutely ridiculous. Like, this man with the taste buds of an absolute caveman. But yeah, fill me in here, Piggy.
Well, we had Highdra change up the start this time. He had a regame, so he actually went and took the speed camp at the same time as NightPhoenix. NightPhoenix was a bit ahead of him on it, because NightPhoenix went left, Highdra went right, but then Highdra just continued into the base with the Fiends, sniped the shrine of NightPhoenix basically the moment it started building. He did cancel it, so NightPhoenix got a partial refund, and then Highdra ran in and actually used the forward meat farm to start just spawning Fiends. Did quite a bit of damage, really put him on the back foot, and you can see that momentum is being carried forward. So Highdra says, you know what? There was a bit of a glitch in that last game. I'm going to use this as a second lease on life. Forces the defensive Shroud Stone, Super Shroud Stone as we should call it, and is already getting big damage done. Going to take out that second Conclave before it can even get up.
Yeah, and I mean, NightPhoenix, he's sprinting back to his base, but I mean, this is going to be kind of problematic to hold. I bet he's wishing that that stone was a bit closer, but getting his own damage on the other side of the map, and there isn't much to greet his drop, so that Fiend count will start climbing here. And I mean, honestly, this is chaotic. This is exactly what I wanted in Infernal.
Yeah, okay, these Gaunts trying to focus fire each other down. Good pullback for NightPhoenix. Remember, you only have to land to unload. You can be lifted into the air while picking the units up. The reason players stay landed for a bit longer is they often want to get that Shroud regeneration, but nice micro here for NightPhoenix. Got to be careful about potentially overstaying, though, as he does now start to pull back. He was out multitasking, or at least out microing Highdra in game 1 with the drops, and now he's trying to get re-established. It was a rough early game, but if NightPhoenix can bounce back and reclaim control of the map, I think it really shows his pedigree as a player, where he's kind of got the forward position with his drop, and he's going 3-base against a 2-base Highdra. So it feels like NightPhoenix is playing just simply at a higher pace than his opponent right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's very quick, isn't he? And every time you think, like, oh no, is he taking too much damage? You then look at the map and you're like, well, he's taking his third base quite a lot faster than his opponent. Like, he's absolutely in the zone here. And granted, it's not fully lined up here with workers, but it's damn near not far off. And it's going to be actually quite hard for Highdra to get a third base roll in. And you see, NightPhoenix, he's not letting up on the pressure. Oh dear, what's happening here?
Looks like he was not attacking. I don't know exactly what went on there. The units may be bugging out slightly or something. So definitely something weird happening with NightPhoenix on his end, but looks like it's calmed down. I think it's working again now just fine. And we are seeing these Doombringer drops just being microed so very, very hard. Oh, Doombringer's going to go in on the main. Oh, NightPhoenix not dropping. And his Doombringer is very damaged. Of course, both players are both attacking and defending at the same time. Those Felhogs, man. So many Fiend spawns getting out. Those are deliciously powerful. And these things get out of control very, very fast. Shroudstone has to get used defensively there for Highdra. Oh, he pops the Doombringer. Chunks of meat go everywhere. That was a big snipe.
It was a big snipe, by the looks of it. He absolutely had all those units in there, and they did not make it down to the ground, so big deal. Super Tower spawned on the other side of things as well. Highdra not picking up his Doombringer, loses his Doombringer as well, all things said and done. That's chaos, mate.
Yeah, man. You know, if a medevac pilot comes up to you and its engines are both on fire and they say, hop in, we'll get you out of here, say no. Say no. It's probably not safe. Both sides learning that lesson the hard way. I do think NightPhoenix's economy is a bit bigger, though, because he's got a full third. Hydra's thirds just got up. So he's definitely behind in the momentum. Magmadon's already on the field for NightPhoenix. And NightPhoenix, I mean, I keep bringing it back to this, but I feel like he's playing at a higher pace. Like, I think Highdra maybe is freezing up a little bit in these engagements, or maybe he's just committing more to them, whereas NightPhoenix has kind of got this very nice balance between expanding, harassing, and macroing up at the same time.
I think what you're saying is NightPhoenix is like nice room temperature chocolate, whereas Highdra being in the fridge a little bit, you know, those digits getting a little bit cold, the flavors lacking a tiny little smidge, and he's just looking across from outside the fridge at just a nice what he could be kind of guy. And I mean, like, the pressure is not going to stop from NightPhoenix here. It really isn't. And apologies for stepping away from the mic a little bit. My cat is attacking me while this game is going on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows how engaging Stormgate is. Cats can sense when you actually care about something more than them on your computer screen, and they always instinctively will dive on your keyboard or get in front of the monitor. It is what it is, but you're going to have to handle that while we watch this crazy fight right now. Oh, you don't want to let these gaunts melt. Remember, room temperature, not melted gaunts, is what you want. You just want them at a healthy temperature. And did he just drop a dead gaunt? Oh, the Fiend got the Infest, killed it inside the Doombringer, so it literally just poops out a Fiend if the Gaunt dies inside it. That's pretty hilarious.
And there's a lot of big techie units on the side of NightPhoenix as well. I mean, they both have to be careful when they get these meat farms near these Luminite lines, right? Because it's just potential for disaster if Gaunts get there and busy. But all things said and done, with the dust settling a little bit, both players are establishing a fourth base, and I mean, it's been chaotic. It really has. But NightPhoenix does look like he's got a lot of meaty units. Rottydons are joining the field while the harass is going on as well.
And these meat farms are just so, annoying. Being used against themselves in this matchup. Those Fell Hogs just a target for the Infest mechanic. You know, a structure that's meant to defend, but is being turned in the mirror matchup into an offensive boost for whoever's got the Infest nearby. Single Magmadon says, YOLO! I'll fight you all! The whole army scatters in fear as one charging Pumbaa gets right up in there.
That was Roddy in the club right there. I mean, had a few too many, ran on in, but buys a lot of time and a lot of value as well. Doombringer is dropped for NightPhoenix, and oh my goodness, there's so many imps getting absolutely chopped here by the Roddies. They're not getting out alive.
That is why you don't let your kids go into the club if a wild Rotterdam is there. You never know if they're going to get crushed underfoot of a 7-foot-tall drunken Dutchman or a giant rhinoceros / hammerhead shark. These Gaunts very exposed. The Magmadon's going to finish him off. NightPhoenix is large, and he's in charge.
He certainly is. I mean, there's just so much blue everywhere, and I mean, the Rottydons are getting damage done behind enemy lines here for Highdra, but I think there's just too much NightPhoenix right now, and a clear display of him being, I think, just a more well-rounded player. And look at all those imps dying on the left-hand side there. That was absolutely brutal. GG, well played is called.
NightPhoenix is pretty damn good at StarCraft. As I said, Hydra's been picking up a lot of the new RTSs like really quickly. So many different tournaments I see him playing over the last few years, and just I'm like, how is Highdra always at the top of all these top 16s in these tournaments? But NightPhoenix has just looked so dominating in their recent plays and has really got the builds down tight, the decisiveness. I mean, we saw that game. You're both creeping, and then bam, your shrine gets cancelled immediately. You're on the back foot. You're scrambling to defend. Then there's a gaunt drop in your base well before your drop gets out there. That's a very difficult situation, and I think that really showed. It's not just like, oh, he has the better build, and they both flip a coin, and he wins because his build is better. NightPhoenix actually managed a few very difficult situations that show he's got good depth as an RTS player. Really well done.
Yeah, and we're going to bring Killer Pigeon back to the desk over here. Welcome, KP. Hope you've had a nice bit of fun.
I did. That was an absolute beauty right there. I think I agree with what you're saying there, Pig. Like what we just saw out of NightPhoenix twice in a row actually was some very finely tuned timings for transitioning into the Rottydoms coming out in force there, Ben. Seems like NightPhoenix might be a pretty strong contender, right? I think Highdra, definitely we mentioned that he's no pushover, but comparing the two there, at least in the Infernal v Infernal matchup, it seems like NightPhoenix might be able to give some of the higher seeded players a run for their money.
He was just really good. Like, so this is my cat here that was attacking me during the game. When I turned a bit quiet, she just won't stop with the licking, infesting me. But NightPhoenix was very cool. Like, he was planting buildings in nice spots for varying reasons. It would be lovely to talk to him about why he does that. Like, meat farms out on the map to creep, to not be in his, like, Illuminite line so it doesn't get, like, fiended and infested and stuff. But yeah, just very nice play out of him. And also, he had that Parding S style where it's like, okay, we're going to harass, but we're also going to grow behind it. So a very scary Infernal player. Good showcase by him.
Absolutely.